Well, everyone, it's time for another State of the Fish Tank address. A video in which I'll be going over pretty much all the fish tanks, kind of giving a rundown of what's all going on, what's happening, what plans are for the future, etc. So let's start out with the shrimp tanks. Shrimp tanks are doing pretty good. I've got a lot of babies of each color, and I've got buried females of each color. You can see there's a buried female back there. It's just scattered baby shrimps all over the place. That's the orange tank. The yellow tank. These guys I'm so happy to see bouncing back. These are my original yellow colony from a long time ago, but as you can see I've got buried females, and the younger generations are starting to get bigger. I just separated part of this plant and put it in the 10-gallon tank all the way at the end that has nothing in it because I'm getting it ready for some more shrimp. I want to build up a dream blue velvet colony, which is something I had a long time ago, and that colony had a collapse a long time ago and I haven't rebuilt it since. But you know, I've got a bunch of these shrimps. You know, they're all the same species of these tanks, Neocaridina davidi, and even the reds here, the Bloody Mary shrimps, doing really good. You can see babies all over the place, and in fact we've got multiple generations. Well, sort of, like half generation. There's some uber tiny ones, some ones that have grown up a little bit, and then of course we've got the adults that started out this particular colony, and they're doing good. This tank, I need to get something in here to control the algae. This is Bagheera's tank, my panther crab. He's back there, he's hiding. He's still very shy. He is coming out more and more, and he is getting used to me slightly every day. He's starting to realize that, hey, I'm the one giving him food. And I'm still on the hunt for a female panther crab. If anyone knows where I can get a female panther crab for Bagheera here, I really want to see if I could try breeding them. They seem to be doing fine. Or he seems to be doing fine in my tank. He's molted thrice since he's been with me. And then this is the tank that's empty. That's admittedly I could clean the back of the glass a little bit. And where I put a piece of that plant in, this plant grows pretty decently. It sucks up a decent amount of nitrate. Nothing's in here except a few pest snails, because why the heck wouldn't there be? I can never control pest snails. It's getting ridiculous, but I do what I can. This is a new addition, though. I've added this board at the top here, and I'm getting a few of these gallon jugs. And what they'll do is they'll help me with my water changes. Because if I take this out from here, screw this back on. So, here's the idea with this. Using gravity and physics and all that good stuff, I fill up the water jug with a gallon of water that I take out of there and then dump that water. And then I take the water that I would fill up the fish tanks with, put it in the gallon up there. And with the use of a flow control valve, I can drip the water in over the course of several hours, making water changes less stressful on the shrimp. That's one of my more permanent plans to help make sure these guys thrive. It also lets me take a good look at the water before I put it in the tank versus YOLOing it through the hose over there directly from the well line. So, doing some things different. You know, the different things that I've been doing in the last few months seem to really be paying off with these shrimp. My shrimps are doing really good. So, that's why I'm going to add a dream blue velvet colony, and then I might move Bagheera into a bigger tank. And then I want to get some cardinal shrimp and see if I can breed those. I don't know if I can. It's going to be a really strange adventure. There's going to be a real possibility, high probability of failure, because cardinal shrimp are they're popular, but they're not common. And part of that is cardinal shrimp are a lot of times are still sourced from the wild, and they're becoming endangered. And I want to source them from a breeder, and I want to hopefully breed them myself so I can help stem the flow of people trying to get them from the wild, because I really don't think they should be taking any creature that is endangered from the wild, especially if we can breed them artificially in a fish tank. That way, just leave the wild creatures be and let the tank bred ones become pets. You know, it's kind of like it'll help the population in the wilds remain sustainable if I can do it. That being said, they are very expensive. They're at least $20 a shrimp. They are very pretty though. But that's a plan for the future. The 40-gallon tank here is still really not a lot going on. I'm seriously thinking about getting back into breeding crayfish. I remember a lot of people really liked my adventures with crayfish back when I had Casper and was breeding white specter crayfish. These are still just my orphan fish, and also my little goldfish buddy, which, yeah, I realize this tank is probably a little warmer than a goldfish really should have. Goldfish are, you know, they're cold water fish, where these are tropical fish. This is not a heated tank. The temperature in here is probably around like 68 degrees, which is kind of like a happy medium for both of them, you know. But all the rescued fish, you know, all the fish in here were rescued, and except for the goldfish, and you know, they're doing good. They're growing up. Eventually, I'll be able to give them away for free to someone who knows, who genuinely wants a fish and knows what they're doing. You know, I get them as tiny little itty bitty babies, and you know, where they would normally be eaten by their parents, and the pet stores can't sell tiny little itty bitty babies. So that's where I come in, and this is kind of like my sanctuary tank for right now. And the interesting thing, a little side note with that goldfish, little Fafa back there, is dude is not growing. He eats plenty, but he is not growing at all. And his scales seem fine. He doesn't appear to have any parasites or anything. It's just he's not getting any bigger. He's just a standard comet goldfish as far as I know. So I thought he would be getting huge, which is why he's in a 40-gallon tank. You know, you shouldn't put, you know, a goldfish in a tiny bowl. That's why he's got, you know, this big old tank to kind of do his thing. But for whatever reason, he's been with me for several months now, and he doesn't want to grow. Maybe I got a dwarf. So a goldfish with dwarfism, I don't know. The cake tank is still just sitting there, more or less, just aging, doing its thing. It's cycled. I don't have a light for it yet. I'm not really going to put any money into it until I have all the other tanks filled with stuff. You know, it's just kind of an auxiliary tank sitting there. I might put, what I might end up doing is getting a light for that and putting Bagheera, my panther crab, in there, as well as some rabbit snails. I want to breed the orange skinned rabbit snails. Those are one of my favorites. And of course, last but not least, we need to talk about the prawn tank, because, well, I've learned a lot keeping these guys over the past few months. You know, having them from just slightly past post-larval to the size of this guy right here. Now, there are only 2 left. I didn't actually expect this guy to live as long as he did, but he seems to be doing okay for the moment. He's missing a few limbs, but that's never stopped these guys before they regenerate real quick. Now, I started out with 12. And the reason I started out with 12 is because that was the minimum number I could order. And over the course of several months, I've analyzed their behavior, their habits, etc. And they've basically, they're very aggressive towards each other, especially right after a molt. I'm guessing there's some pheromones that they must release after a molt, and the males do not like other males being in their proximity, and they will kill each other. There's just nothing you can do about that if you want to have something. of this these creatures in proximity of each other. So I can safely say at this point that the recommended amount of Macrobrachium rosenbergi per tank should be 1 per 55 gallons. These will grow much bigger than it currently is. This dude's only like 5, maybe 6 inches at the most. They do get over 12 inches in length, and they are extremely territorial, and they are constantly hungry. They will eat non-stop. They will cannibalize each other to a point. They do not... Okay, let me rephrase that. They prefer plant matter over flesh, but these guppies keep having babies, and the prawn keep eating the babies, so they will hunt successfully, and yeah, they just prefer the easy meal of plant matter. They will eat bush algae, hair algae, duckweed, any sort of invasive plant they have no problem eating. They're voracious eaters. They are highly territorial. They do not coexist with each other very easily. Even if you give them hides and, you know, I gave them tubes. I kind of didn't put as many hides in as I would have liked to because I really needed to observe their growth over the course of the last few months. And I'm down to 2. I suspect I will probably be down to 1. And I think with 1 I could probably grow out successfully. It is a shame and it is unfortunate, but at least I've done the research, or I'm doing the research, so that other people who are interested in them, and then make no mistake, this species is getting much more popular in the aquarium industry. At least I found out the mistakes the hard way for you, so you don't have to make the same. So, with that being said, that's pretty much it. You know, it would be cool if I could have got them to survive better. Their anger towards each other seemed to have amplified after I added the feeder guppies. When it was just feeding them pellets, they didn't seem to be all that aggressive. The presence of fish may make them more aggressive. The molting, it's always right after a molt that they die, and you can see a lot of their flesh is eaten away. So I'm imagining it's a pheromone that's released after molting, which is not uncommon for prawn or shrimp in general to have done. And that's probably what spurs up their territorial instincts. So that is what I've learned based on my own observations. Take that as you guys will, but that is pretty much it. That is all that is going on. There's my future plans, my current things that's happening right now. That tank down there is still kind of just doing nothing. I really don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's got nothing in it. I have no plans for it. It's just there because. And, yeah. Well, anywho, thanks for watching, guys. You know, stay tuned for some new adventures with new buddies.